Hello guys, it's Bruno here, and today I would like to talk about something I have already recorded a video about, but that unfortunately I had to delete because it was vertical, and I was noticing the video got longer than I expected, so I don't think that the vertical mode would fit because some platforms have the limit of videos up to 3 minutes, but this one's taking longer than expected. So it's about the recent changes in the technological market when it comes to mobile operating systems. For a very long time, many people have criticized Apple as a company for their policies and the way that they behave in the market. And it's really easy to understand why these critics exist, and they are in their right to do so. But personally, I believe that when you use an Apple product for the first time, the experience is so different to other devices you have used that talking from a consumer perspective when it comes to productivity and personal management, it makes your life so easier that it's very counterintuitive to not use their products. And when we are talking about the technological and engineering fields, consumers in general, tend to prioritize technological goods that make their life is that they that not only make their life is easier, but that are accessibly enough to be tweaked and customized to the level of design that they intend to have. That is not the same for Google. Google has built Android around open source technology. And the reason for that, I believe it's not because Google is a good person, a good company, that they are well intended in this way. Of course, organizations do not have feelings. They prioritize profits, and this is how business works. There is nothing wrong about this as long as they are not hurting their customers in any way, and it's and that it truly provides value to their customers. However, I must agree with some critics about Google because the main interest behind Google's ownership over Android and some other technologies is because Google's main source of income is advertising revenue. That is not the case for Apple. Apple's main source of income is selling iPhones, hardware, personal computing products. And this completely changes how each company's culture operates. Why? Because financial and commercial interests are what drive profit, and profit drives businesses. When Apple releases a product in the market, it's a product that has been tested for several different people and professionals and have been meticulously designed to serve the customer in such a way that they don't feel they need something else. So this is the secret behind Apple's seamless integration, and there is nothing wrong about this. Businesses run on profits. They must prioritize shareholder value as well. There is also an incentive from shareholder value to provide a great customer experience, because if your users are not satisfied with your product, they are just going to purchase for somebody else. I truly believe that when you use an Apple product, you have this choice. They are very restrictive when it comes to opening up their systems. And they say that it's due to security risks And that is a very valid point. But there is also the commercial interest behind. And this is also a valid point. And outsmart their competitors. There's nothing wrong about this. But when it comes to Google, the commercial strategy is completely different because Apple has been born already as a personal computing company. From their beginning, from their roots, they build the hardware. And when they build the hardware, they already have a vertical integration with the operating system they developed. This is the reason why their products are so expensive for some people, because Apple, when sells something to the consumer, is already a complete product when it comes to hardware and when it comes to software. And when we talk about supply chain logistics, there are many hidden costs behind a product. It's not only the labor and manufacturing costs. Apple builds their operating system. They do not outsource to companies like Google, which have Android. And not only that, but they do not sell entry-level and intermediate level devices. They only sell top-tier products, not because they are a luxury brand, but because it's so difficult to make customers satisfied with your product unless the product you are serving really solves their problems. Who likes to have a computer that freezes, that crashes, that lags, as how many Windows and other machines are built? I'm not saying that Windows and other operating systems are bad. Far from it. I have been a Linux user and a Windows user for a very long time, for coding and so on. But I believe that when Apple develops a product, it's such a good product when it comes to user experience that you do not desire something else. Google's income strategy is different. They rely mainly on ad revenue, and because of this, they have to provide the best product for their investors, for their shareholder values. It doesn't mean that it is the best product for the consumer, for the user, but it's the best product for who is paying Google. And who is paying Google? Advertisers, businesses, small businesses, big brands. They pay Google to buy your data. Google doesn't have Android because they are a good company, let's say, that they are friendly, that they are nice. That's not the true side of business. Many people there may be nice. Google even may be nice, but profit is what runs businesses. And Google's profit comes from advertising and from selling your data. The reason why they purchased Android is to sell user data, is to acquire the biggest amount of user data that they can sell to advertisers. And this is why they are so scared of artificial intelligence and that they are completely rebranding their business. Is because their main source of revenue is search. It's where they show advertising. YouTube works that same way. So when Google is designing something, it's not designing with the final user in mind. It's designing to make you hooked, to make you give the biggest amount of information of you as possible so they can sell to advertisers and advertisers can show you things which are of their interest. So if we put in balance the interest of those two companies, Google and Apple, the one that is mainly concerned with your data is Apple. I love Linux, but I must say that Apple is more concerned of your data than Google. and with your user experience. Let's use a simple example. If you look into the iPhone apps from the iPhone 1 to the iPhone 17 Pro Max, most apps, products that come in the device are still there. They have not been discontinued. They have not been killed. Since the 2000s, when Apple creates a product, it doesn't kill the product so easily, because there is a big strategy behind the user experience. They build products that customers will like. Likability is a great aspect of their business. That is not the case for Google. There is even a website showing how many products Google has killed for the past years. I will probably leave the link below here on this video, but it's so absurd, because they are a company that they have very different philosophies when it comes to business and customer experience. When you purchase an Android device, it's not a complete product. It's not a finished product. It doesn't even have standard apps to work as a phone. When you buy an iPhone, you have notes, you have camera, you have photos, you have files, you have so many apps that are already utilitarian products. That is not the case for Android smartphones. It will mainly depend upon who is the OEM manufacturer that you have acquired from, whether it's Xiaomi, Samsung, Oppo, OnePlus, or another one. Because Android is bare bones. There are so many things that you need to purchase or download third-party applications for things that should already be contained in their system. It's an absurd. It is completely outrageous that they do not have the same attention to detail and to user experience. I've used Android for the past 13 to 14 years. This year, 2025, I have switched for the first time for an iPhone. And after that, I purchased an iPad, then I purchased a Mac. Then I purchased AirTags because my grandmother was getting lost somehow. So to protect her safety, me and my family had to get her AirTags. She's diabetic. And many times when her blood sugar levels decrease, she's unable to understand where she is. This is a very big risk that I can simply use an AirTag to help her. Because wherever she is, we are able to find her and to help her, as how happened many times in the past. And now I see that Google is also trying to block side-loading apps because they lost a court case against the DOJ, the Department of Justice of the United States. They are trying to block side-loading apps. One of the few things that still makes them somehow win against Apple in this category. Because when you use an Apple product, you have trade-offs, of course. Apple products are not perfect, but they make your life easier and better. But they're not perfect. They don't let you sideload apps unless you do a lot of complex stuff and refresh from 7 to 7 days using AutoStore or other stores. And you need to refresh constantly with the Apple servers to refresh our phone's permission of using sideloaded apps. Google is trying to do something like it. They're trying to block third-party manufacturers of apps that are not registered in their system to build, publish apps even outside the Play Store. But the reason why customers still use Apple products even though they have this vertical integration is because Apple's products are so good. They are so good that users most of the time don't feel the need of using another store. But the Google Play Store is so awful as a product that we need to have third-party stores. I really wished Apple was a little bit more open source, had a more developer-friendly environment. But it's a trade-off for user experience and customer experience.